other news this morning, we're joined on the phone this morning by U.S. Representative Robert Pittenger of North Carolina's 9th Congressional District. In fact, he's calling us from Israel, where he's been hanging out all week talking to some of the major players there in the Middle East. Congressman, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning. Hope you're well.
Doing wonderfully. A very, very busy trip for you. Let's start here with the reason you went there to Israel. It's my understanding that you're there to kind of learn from the experience of the Israelis in terms of combating terrorism.
Yes, sir. I chair the Congressional Task Force on Terrorism and Unconventional Warfare. And I'm here with the Majority Leader Eric Cantor. We just spent an hour and a half with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu this morning. We've met with President Shimon Peres and the Defense Minister, the Intelligence Minister, Foreign Minister, the ambassadors, and really to assess their successful efforts and, frankly, keeping the security and stability in this country in the midst of enormous adversity throughout the region.
In terms of some of the things that have worked in Israel, what have you been able to glean that might work here in the United States to keep us safer from terrorists?
Well, I think there are many things that they've done here that are important. They have, of course, set the Iron Dome, which shoots down every rockets that come in every day. I was at the Golan Heights yesterday, and you could sense the war and could hear the war just across the border in Syria. And that instability is spreading throughout the region. You have the instability now in Egypt in great measure. And I think there's just real concern of what happens as this unrest continues, what happens with the chemical and biological weapons in Syria that the wrong party, Hezbollah or Hamas or Al-Qaeda gets a hold of them, they transport them out of the country, they can put them on a boat and send them to Charleston Harbor. You know, there's many things we need to learn, and this is a fact-finding trip for me to see what the Israelis are doing in terms of counterterrorism and what we can do to prepare our country in our region, that we can continue to live in peace and in prosperity.
I'm glad you raised the issue of Syria and Egypt and the instability in both of those countries. What have your conversations been with Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Peres specific to the U.S. relationship with Israel in trying to help stabilize an already volatile area?
Yeah, well, it is volatile, and I think that their response has been very measured. They have stayed out of the Syrian conflict. They understand the problems there and the outcomes that could happen with these chemical and biological weapons. We spent a great deal of time talking about Iran and the real major nuclear threat that they are on the verge of becoming. They will go from a paper tiger, toothless, to a major world threat overnight if they are able to achieve the nuclear capacity and the capacity to deliver those nuclear warheads. They are very much on the verge of that, and it is of enormous concern for this region and the United States.
Secretary of State Kerry, of course, is trying to broker a peace deal between Israel and Palestine. This is something that so many before him have unfortunately done unsuccessfully. How many conversations have you had with leadership there in Israel? Have you spoken with leadership in Palestine specific to this?
Yes, so we've spoken at length. I met with the chief negotiator for the Palestinian Authority. We met with him for probably an hour and 20 minutes. Of course, we've met with the defense ministers here in Israel. You know, Israel's made enormous concessions just to get to the negotiating table. They released over 100 individuals who were guilty of murder and enormous crimes. Now the Palestinians have also been promised $4 billion in foreign aid. My goodness, we gave them $10 billion of foreign aid in 1994. And they can't account for what happened with it. They didn't build any schools or hospitals or anything else. So I think the Israeli people are doing everything that they can to come to the table and have a two-state nation that would respect that there is a Jewish state. That is the issue, whether Israel will respect the Palestinian state. The Palestinians need to, in like manner, respect there will be a Jewish state.
Congressman, very quickly.
That's the crux.
Congressman, very quickly, what is your sense? Are we going to finally get a peace deal that both nations are going to be able to live with and uphold?
Say that again, please.
I said very quickly, is it your sense in talking to leadership on both sides that we finally will get a peace deal that both nations will be able to live with and uphold?
Yeah, I'm not. I think that's hope against hope. If that happens, it would be an enormous breakthrough. I think they are so far away from that reality because there's tremendous demands on concessions by Israel. But until the Palestinians come to the point where they're willing to say, we will acknowledge the presence and the reality of a Jewish state the same way that they want to be acknowledged, then I think that there's a crossroads. And whenever there is, I think the rest of it is a matter of just details, and that could be achieved. So I'm not altogether hopeful because I've never heard anything from any of the Palestinian leaders that would give any commitment to a Jewish Israeli state.
Well, Congressman, we appreciate your time this morning. Enjoy the rest of your trip. Hopefully it's fruitful. We look forward to talking to you when you return here to the Charlotte area.
Can't wait to get back to Charlotte.